it's Flo, and this is my impression of a geographically challenged rock band delivering a commencement speech. Hello, graduates! Here's a song called Adulthood is Scary, but Progressive is Snapshot. Plug it in and save money for being a safe driver. Let me hear you, Cleveland! Kansas City, New York?
Safe drivers save with Snapshot from Progressive.
Now you're wearing a stupid hat. Congrats! No, but really, where are we?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Snapshot not available in all states.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everybody, live, Under the Mat Radio. This is your host, Tech, with co-host
NSC Game Boy. What it is, what it do.
Yes, everybody, welcome to this episode of Under the Mat Radio. The title is entitled Chinlocks and Chambers. We will coming out momentarily in a second. We have a very great guest coming out. His name is Dr. Julian Shabazz. He is the author of Volume Edition 1 and Edition 2 of The Black Stars of Professional Wrestling. He'll be talking about his book, about his career, his thoughts on wrestling in general, of course, how African Americans have been used and currently being used in the business, and a bunch of other things in his career. And then at the top of the hour, 8 p.m., we'll be discussing this weekend's upcoming WWE pay-per-view, and the Elimination Chamber. The return of it is our co-correspondent Toph, as well as our lead correspondent Shimbly will be joining us. We'll be talking about the pay-per-view and, of course, memories of the Elimination Chamber. You can follow us on Twitter at tech_UTMR. You can follow NSC Game Boy at
NSC Game Boy, spelled correctly.
Yes. Please do. You can also follow Shinblade on Twitter. I believe it is a sensational one. I'm not going to spell it out. I'm sure once he gets called into the show, he'll give you details. Please don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Under the Mat Radio. Please follow our like page. As NSC Game Boy says, make sure the white thumbs turn blue. Make sure they turn colors. I believe we have had a milestone. We are now over 500 likes on our like page, so thank you to all of our fans and supporters. Do you know all of those likes are not paid likes? These are organic likes, meaning everybody that has liked the page has specifically liked them. They like the show because they want to, and they support it. Also, don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Under the Mat Radio. You'll get to see our other interviews we've done with Kurt Angle, with Ron Simmons, Ricky Steamboat, a bunch of other legends or whatnot, and also check out our road trips, which are entitled the Shy Blogs as well. Follow our Instagram page, which is at Under the Mat Radio, all one word. And if you have any business inquiries, any questions, any additions that you may have about the show, email us at underthematsradio@gmail.com. NSC Game Boy, anything else you want to add?
No, I think you summed it all up. I think we need to get right down to business. This is a serious episode.
Yes, it is. Speaking of business, right now, we're about to bring in live, the man himself, Dr. Julian Shabazz. Welcome to you, Under the Mat Radio.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, gentlemen. Tech, NSC Game Boy. I'm in great company tonight. Under the Mat Radio. Happy to be here.
Yes,
thank you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Now, if my intro was good enough for you, hopefully it was, but first, if you don't mind, do you want to give an introduction to those listening now and that will listen to the archive version of this, of your career and what you've done?
Well, you got to forgive me, Tech, because that was such a fantastic interview, but unfortunately, I'm unable to pay you for that right now. We'll have to deal with that in the future, okay? But you did mention that I'm a former college professor. I've written books on the Black Stars of Professional Wrestling, which is my signature publication, actually, Black Stars of Professional Wrestling. It was originally published in 1999, believe it or not, the first edition. And the second edition came 10 years later. And I made a promise on our good friend Dr. D. Our good friend Dr. D, I made a promise to him a while back that I wouldn't take another 10 years to do another updated edition of the book. I was thinking at the time probably about every 5 years I would update the book. So you know what's happened? Now it's 2015. So that's another 5 years. So I got to get on the ball to get that next edition of Black Stars of Professional Wrestling out. You know, in the last edition of Black Stars of Professional Wrestling, Naomi was in the developmental league. Now she's a star now. So I obviously got to do some updating. The Big E, he wasn't even in the last publication. So there are new African-American wrestlers out there since the last publication that I've got to get on the ball to update it.
Oh, yes. Definitely got to. And actually, I do think if you've even taken the time out to even writing a book about our history, letting people know about African Americans, black, whatever you want, whatever term you want to use, of us being in the sport of professional wrestling, it's very much grateful. That being said, NSC Game Boy.
Well, yes, to have the chance to have a brother such as yourself who's so well established and so well connected with a black heritage and speaking at a very diverse sport as with professional wrestling and able to really speak our language and get to our people is definitely refreshing. So, yes, we very well commend you and thank you for all the accomplishments and everything that you put, the time and the energy to writing these books and these volumes and really getting that knowledge to the masses.
Well, NSC Game Boy, I thank you so much for the compliments, but you know, I got to throw it right back at you guys with what you're doing with Under the Mat Radio. You're on the same course. You're educating the public about the business that we all love, and you guys, similar to myself, have a particular slant on paying attention to the African-American stars. But you specifically mentioned the word diverse business of professional wrestling. And I'm glad you said that because it is a diverse business. And with my particular publications, although I focus specifically on African-American professional wrestlers because I don't think they generally have been publicized like that, if you will, in print or in publications.
Right.
But that particular publication, believe it or not, from the numbers that I see, the book sells to more white fans than anything else.
What I said. That is it.
You know, the diversity of the business, people appreciate these stars. And they appreciate what they do. Fans really appreciate what they do. So just like I am a black guy, and I'm a fan of, say, for instance, Dolph Ziggler. I actually kind of like Dolph Ziggler. Really like Bray Wyatt quite a bit. But, you know, I'm a fan of those guys, and they don't share my personal ethnicity the same way. Many white fans and fans of other nationalities are fans of these specific African-American stars. So that particular publication, and from the start, I think I made the correct decision to not just focus on race any more than these were black stars, but to not deal with some of the racism and some of the behind-the-scenes issues that we all know about, but to just celebrate these athletes for their accomplishments in the business.
Okay, that is true. That is true. And
Thank you.
You know, it's said that a lot of white, you know, people or people of other races tend to be more intrigued and more, you know, invested in our own culture instead of us, and that's sad.
Yes.
It is, and even in some business areas, me and NSC Game Boy can talk. Us being in the media and doing radio and being on TV, sometimes we've gotten support more so from white people or other people than our own black folks. And,
yes.
that's kind of sad. We're not trying to bash anybody, but we're just talking the truth. And
Right.
with your book, it's very important that we got to support each other.
Right.
We got to support each other. We have to. And I know, and it's a Game Boy test. We just had, I believe, Ray Banks, who's a representative of the Negro Leagues,
Mm-hmm.
and he was speaking about the importance of adding Negro League baseball history into public schools. And when I talked to him off the air, he mentioned some of the similar things. So we definitely got to support each other. We got to know our history, not just in
right.
not just our culture in general of, of course, roots and how we came and everything, but also in sports. Definitely. It's very important.
Right. I totally agree. And on that line, that's where I think we all have similar beliefs. And in utilizing mainstream media from the standpoint of broadcasting like you gentlemen, or in my case, the standpoint of print media, if you will, although we're using electronic media as well, we're still promoting our stories out there, not only for us, but for the general public. Because if we don't tell these stories, unfortunately, they can get lost to time.
Yes.
Right, that is true.
And to add to your thought, when you tell these stories and people hear them and they hear the passion behind it and they hear the sacrifice, because a lot of these stars that we see on television and that, we're big fans of, and, a lot of them have their own story. But it's nothing like having that story where you know about that black man or that black woman who had to overcome before they even got into wrestling, who had to overcome poverty, or who had to overcome a damaged family, or who lost their family, or, got in trouble with the wrong crowd. It's so much harder for us to really break through that wall and that ceiling before you even get inside the ring. Right. And a lot of times our fans are so impressed at the fact that we have our professionalism and we bring it so raw and so real to them because, they think that, once the channel go off, that's it. It's all, everybody's laughing, joking and stuff. But no, we had Ahmed Johnson on here, the first Intercontinental Champion for the WWF, WWE /
Yep.
And he said on our program, hey, they carved out "Congratulations, nigga" on his car. Wow. He wasn't allowed to date a white woman in front of the boys because it made them feel uncomfortable. And it had nothing to do with his performance. Right. It was just the fact that he was a black man successful in the business, and they didn't want to see it.
Right.
And a lot of people, a lot of our fans and stuff was shocked, but we wasn't shocked. I mean, we've heard it. We hear the whispers. We know the echoes.
Yes.
We know the shadows. So
right.
we wasn't shocked. We just was surprised that a man of that stature had to go through that.
Yes.
And mind you, that was only 20 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
This ain't the 60s, this ain't the 50s and everything with Martin Luther King and the civil rights and stuff. This is just 20 years ago.
Right.
Exactly. So meeting a man like yourself and really connecting and really still reaching out, to me, it feels like the battle is still being fought. The weapons have changed. The rules have changed, but overall, the goal is still the same.
Right.
And I am proud to be part of Under the Mat with Tech and our fellow correspondents and stuff, and gentlemen like you, because this is still a professional wrestling show.
Right.
But we do other things, but we try to keep it as real as possible.
Right.
Because without that realism, then we just as phony as the people that we're telling you all you shouldn't listen to, you shouldn't do. And that is doing a disservice to not only ourselves, but to our culture.
Right, exactly. I like the way you worded that, because that's always kind of my overriding philosophy in everything I do. I don't want to disrespect our culture. Mm-hmm. And some of these athletes have, like you said, for instance, the Ahmed Johnson story that he told. Some of these athletes themselves have dealt with so much and have been called so many things and had to face so many obstacles that I did not want a publication that I was doing particularly calling out by name a lot of these stars, I didn't want a negative stigma associated with it at all. But at the same time, I wanted to be respectful to them and respectful to our culture. It's kind of a fine line I'm trying to balance. I don't know if I succeed, but I try to balance.
I feel as that you can only do with so much with what you have. You know, it's perception, and it's also the fact that you're hoping and you're praying that the people that you're reaching can understand the knowledge that you're trying to give to them, and that their eyes can be open and their ears can hear exactly the underlinings of what's going on.
Right.
Because, sometimes you have to watch out because, you got copywriting, you got lawyers and stuff involved, and the bigger and bigger you get, you're walking on eggshells because, you got cease and desist orders, you got other, I'm about to say you're laughing because you already know.
Yes.
When you get high on that ladder, they start to see that you're blossoming in what you're doing. They want you to make sure that they can keep what they're doing, in the dark. So in order to control you, they throw out these innuendos to make sure that you're playing ball with them. And if you're not, then they go for blood. And we're ready for the blood. We're ready for the riots was just here in Baltimore no less than a month ago.
Right.
And we got a lot of love and support for a lot of boys in the back. Me and Tech both don't live too far from where ground zero where the riots was at.
Right.
And we both did our best to give to our fans and let them know. And shout out to Tony Todd, the Candyman, great actor, great Shakespearean actor who came on the show, gave his love and support. The original Gata, Monet Dupree. Monique Dupree, excuse me. They gave their love and their support at that time because we needed our black leaders. We needed our black help. And it's not that we didn't get help from the other races and everything, but we needed help for our own people because that is really the problem is with our own people. And I'm so honored to talk to a guy. And when I was doing my research about you, getting ready for the show prior, a few months ago when you was about to come on, of course we had technical problems.
Right.
I was so excited because I know now, and thanking Tech so much for bringing me on. I now know how hard it is to really get that message across, being who we are and where we come from.
Yes.
But when you reach that person, it's amazing, and it's just a great feeling.
And you guys have a real good forum. If you don't mind me piggybacking on what you just said, because you touched a lot on me, because that's kind of where I am all the time with what I'm trying to do, and just the forum, using your forum as a platform for even a person like Ahmed Johnson to tell his story. That is such a wonderful thing because so many times, and this is maybe, I guess it's part human nature, so many times when we reach a certain level of notoriety or attention, so many times we get wrapped up into ourselves so much that we forget about others. What you guys are doing is you're providing opportunities to still show love and show respect for others, and that is always where I'm trying to come from. Let me give you a little example. There was a gentleman, when I did the first publication back in 1999, I was given the phone number of a gentleman, and I contacted him. The gentleman's name was Tiger Conway Sr. Tiger Conway Sr. had wrestled back during the time when Negro wrestlers, they were being billed as Negro wrestlers down in the Texas territory. He's passed away since. But just talking with him and allowing him to share his stories and share that with the world and getting the appreciation from him, that meant so much to me. Quite frankly, I talked with Tony Atlas at the time, and Tony Atlas was not on WWE or any major promotion at the time. He was doing independent shows. And those guys appreciated that someone was listening to them and valued what they had done. And I was one of those young people that they had impacted and wanted to just expose that to the world. So when you talk about that, man, it just touches me. And I want to challenge you guys to stay encouraged and to stay focused and continue doing the great work that you're doing and keep building, because you're touching so many lives in positive ways.
Oh, yes.
And I'll stop the commercial right now. You know, it's turned into a love fest now because, you know, both of us all of us are thinking the same way.
Well, I feel it's real recognized real. You know,
right.
I take everything that you say into the utmost as the most sincere compliment that you can give, because we've only been in the business for almost 2 years.
Right.
And, you know, we have reached so many pinnacles that we thought that we probably would never have reached.
Right.
Me and Tech. And a lot of the praise have to go to Tech, because not only he's the host of the show, he really runs the show. He's the guy that was getting all of the things together and setting them in place and everything. So a lot of the praise does go to him. And, you know, the success of the fans for backing us and believing in us and listening and tuning in and asking us, go after so-and-so, get such and such. And, you know, it's been remarkable. And we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We love what we're doing, meeting great people such as yourself week in, week out. And just, you know.
Well, Tech is a hard brother to say no to. You're I think it was about a year or so ago that we first spoke. Am I correct, Tech?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it was at least a year ago, or more. You know, and we had mutual friend with Dr. D, and I mean, Tech is such a hard brother to say no to. I mean, hey, brother, you're a real good salesman.
Thanks. I've been told that.
You are.
Funny that I've been told that before. So that's
it's true. But honestly, when we first spoke, I mean, I connected with you right out of the gate. You know, and I'm one of the, let me just be honest with you, NSC Game Boy. I'm one of these people who kind of cut off from the world sometimes. There are times I basically go underground. I'm one of these guys who's never owned a cell phone in my life. So I disconnect from the world quite often. But the brother found me, you know, and we connected immediately, and it was just love at first sight. So I appreciate what you guys have been doing and what you continue to do. And that's where I'm coming from with the Black Stars of Professional Wrestling. Quite frankly, I'm behind. I got to get the next edition out before the end of 2015. And that is my goal. I'm going to reach that goal, too.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm definitely sure. Like I said, brother, I'm glad to have you on. I know we spoke well over a year ago.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason. I know we tried to have you on the show. Mother Nature pretty much said no, can't control her unless some kind of mutant or what have you, a Thor, a storm. Because it's all fine to have you on like this. And I know I enjoyed you. I found a YouTube video of you. I think it was I'm not sure if it was the first edition of your book or the second edition. You was on some talk show, and you was talking about your book. I'm not sure if you remember that or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
That YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah, the YouTube channel. I watched that and enjoyed hearing you speak, and just in general having books. And like I said, I love books, and especially wrestling. I also love wrestling, and I know a lot of times with us being brothers, other show and being the only radio show that's successful with us won awards, us being everybody being brothers. A lot of times racial issues come up and we get emails, or a lot of wrestlers, known and unknown, hit us up about our thoughts of how we're treated in the business back and forth. And seeing that you wrote your book, I thought it was really good, because I feel this is a must-have for anybody, especially those that are black, to know about the history of wrestling. You think of black wrestlers, people automatically think of The Rock. Oh, The Rock, Booker T, that's it. Maybe Harlem Heat. Junkyard Dog. That's really it. Of course, you know, you have the New Day, or, you know, the 4 kids now, they see the New Day or R-Truth, or that's really it. If you watch TNA, you got Lashley, who's done a great job, and Kenny King, MVP, who NXT Game Boy ran into in California at WrestleMania this year. But there's so many other wrestlers, Ring of Honor, ACH, and Cedric Alexander, and Caprice Coleman, and there's so many other stars even of yesteryear that a lot of people got to do their research on. A lot of people don't even know R-Truth, when he was Ron Killings, is the first black NWA champion. NWA
World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes, of history.
Yes.
And this is in the same lines of the races, the Flairs, the Rhodes, the Wyndham, Sting, Funk, both Funks, Briscoes. R-Truth is the only black man, African American, that has held that title.
So true.
But yet, no one talks about it. Well, if it didn't happen to WWE, they're not going to recommend it, or they're not going to put it out on TV at all. It's true.
Right. If it didn't happen in WWE, they don't acknowledge it.
Right. It never happened. It just didn't at all. If we can talk some about your book, about like the first edition and the second edition. Who were you able to contact about your book, and tell us some stories of how it came about?
Interesting. Really interesting, because with the first edition, I kind of came into the business, or I hit the market coming totally out of left field. No one expected it. No one in the business really knew me. I had made friends and contacts with people like Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer News that he's done for many, many years when he was originally a dirt sheet, that kind of thing. So I made friends with various old writers and promoters and things like that. And a lot of them gave me contacts within the business. So in talking with people, I think sometimes some of the artists, some of the athletes were used to people talking all the time. So they would talk with me, but they hear people talk all the time. And they wait to see if there's going to be any action. So when I first came out with the very first publication in 1999, it hit the industry out of left field. No one was really expecting that. No one within the establishment of the industry knew me. But I had this information. And because I did not attack NWA or WCW at the time, or WWF at the time, ECW, what I was doing was just showing love to all these great athletes, that the market appreciated that, and that opened me up to so much within the industry. And I'm still kind of embarrassed to say that here we are 15 years later, 16 years later, and I'm still the only person who's written on the subject matter, just focused totally on African-American professional wrestlers. I had kind of expected others to get involved in dealing with that topic, but, and there have been, you mentioned Junkyard Dog, someone has written a book on Junkyard Dog a couple of years ago, King of New Orleans, and you obviously had your book by The Rock. You had, I think Booker T did a book, so you've had certain individuals, and books on individuals. But in 99, none of that existed, none whatsoever. And so by the time the second edition came along, it was no problem for me to contact people and get them to open up and share, information with me, because they saw that I genuinely was appreciative of what they were doing and not trying to attack them. But, when you got some of those characterizations of African Americans over the years, just by saying the title, Black Stars of Professional Wrestling, all kinds of issues come up in the minds of people. And one of the really interesting stories with the very first edition, now I'm taking you back, this is 16 years, 1999. Okay. On the cover was a collage of several wrestlers, but the biggest picture was a picture of The Rock at the time. Would you believe I received letters from angry white fans at the time telling me, how dare you put The Rock on the cover of a book? He's not black. What do you mean?
Wow.
You don't hear that now, but 16 years ago, there were people really angry. How dare you call The Rock black? And I remember being on another show once, and the host and I was talking about that, and I think I made the point that I guess if you have a Polynesian mom, Samoan mom, and a black father, I guess that makes you white. Makes you black. But what it really was the promotion and the popularity that he had, and he just blew up the spot in such a way that no African American wrestler had done. I mean, he just shot to the moon, and he had such a diverse fan base that it was just hard for some people to connect Rock, to see Rock the same way as he saw Abdullah the Butcher, Kamala the Ugandan giant, the Godfather, the New Day preaching like Baptist preachers and dancing, So it was it was just interesting, but it was based on the promotion at the time.
What and we thank you for that too. What if you can tell us what surprise or positive feedback or help from the boys actually in the business? What positive feedback or help have you gotten from them when you started out your book and once the book was released?
He's dead now, but the late Lou Thez, one of the greatest NWA champions of all time, legend in the business. When Lou Thez, because of the circle of people that I was dealing with to get the work done originally, Lou was part of that crowd. And Lou contacted me himself, and first of all, as a wrestling fan, to just be contacted by Lou Thez, it was just an honor to me. Lou Thez could have contacted me and said, "Hey, go get me something to eat," and I would have done it, because I just had that much reverence for him. But Lou Thez contacted me, and he specifically talked about the professional wrestler from days gone by, African American Luther Lindsay. And he talked about how great Luther was, and that Luther had passed away, and he really was glad that I was doing that kind of project, but make sure I do not leave out Luther Lindsay because of his contribution. And that said a lot to me. From a legend inside the business, just hearing that this story is being told, and he wanted to make sure that I did not miss certain individual, Luther Lindsay at that time. That meant a lot to me. But obviously, I got so much good feedback from everyone that I've dealt with. I think on one of those, I was on a television show. One of the shows I was on BET Network back around during that time, and believe it or not, BET Network, BET. They're totally different now, but
they did such a great job promoting us in the positive light.
Yes, great job.
Way to go, BET.
Yeah, thanks.
It was interesting but again, that's 15 years ago. But BET did a show based on the book, and at the time we had WCW wrestlers at the time. It was Booker T, Charmel, and Ernest the Cat Miller at the time. The four of us were being interviewed on that show. At the time, it just like you mentioned earlier, WWF at the time did not want to cross-promote their athletes with WCW athletes. So we ended up doing it with just WCW athletes at the time. But, behind the scenes, behind closed doors, the boys in the business, they really appreciated what I was doing. And that meant a lot to me because that was my intention originally.
So you never, and I'm going to say this before I bring in lead correspondent Shimblade, you never got any contacts whatsoever from anybody in WWE from your about your book?
Not officially.
Oh.
I've talked to people kind of on a personal basis, but Not officially, no.
Like we said,
and that was
WWE
okay.
didn't create it.
Say that again?
Like we said, if it wasn't from WWE, they don't recognize it.
No, they don't recognize, and they had and still have, I guess, their own book division. Well, back then they didn't, but they were starting. I think that Mankind, the Have a Nice Day, Mick Foley book, was the only book they had out at the time. So, they were starting obviously their own book division, so they weren't interested in cross promoting with another writer either. So that was interesting. But I never got anything negative from the business, so it was just no acknowledgement.
Real quick, if you don't mind, before I let Shimbley come in and ask you a question, is a fellow fan of our show, a fan of yours, David Lane, I believe that's how you say his last name. He wanted to say hello to you. He isn't able to listen to the show live, but he said he will listen to the archived version later. But he did want me to, after the show, I could get with you, Doctor, and get the information because he wanted to purchase your book.
Okay. Make sure you tell David thank you so much for the appreciation, and I wish he was listening to the show, but whenever he does, what's up, David, my man?
You know who David is?
No, I don't think I've met David.
Okay. Yeah, and I know he's a big follower of the show, and he hit me up today and sent his thanks and appreciation to you and appreciation of our show, how he said he loved our show and our interviews, and how he's a fan of yours, and he wanted to make sure he purchases your book. So, Dave, I know you will be listening. I'll make sure I contact you this week and get you the information.
Yes, Dave. Keep doing it. Keep supporting these guys under the Mat Radio, and I definitely thank you for your support, Dave.
Well,
all right.
With that being said, I'm bringing Shimbley. You there? Hold on. Again, Shimbley, are you there? Not sure what happened. Do apologize for that.
Yeah, we probably having technical problems.
Probably had technical problems. That tends to happen with that. Shit isn't here. Do we have Toph? Toph, are you there? Do apologize for that. Put them on mute. Okay. That being said, NC Game Boy, you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, mostly what I wanted to talk about now is a lot of fans ask us about the problems with African Americans, black wrestlers, now in the business, where when you look at the WWE as being recognized as the global phenomenon that it is, and you see our people on there, and they're mid-card stars. You really don't see any world champions. Yeah. And the last one you did see, of course, was Booker T.
Right.
But when you talk about the WWE Championship, you really don't see any. And a month or two ago, we had Jim Ross on our show. Great guy who's a big supporter of Under the Mat Radio. Mm-hmm. And yes. I asked him the question on the show. And I asked him, I said, how come there isn't a lot of black stars carrying the belt? And his answer was that what black star do you see that can carry the company? And that's an interesting thing. He said he didn't say win the belt. He said carry the company. Mm-hmm. Because we live in a time where if you are the champion of these type of promotions, you have to carry the company. That means you got to go on Michael and Kelly. You got to go on the Tonight Show. Yep. You got to go on all these different ESPN stuff, and you got to do all these. And he was like, well, could you see any of these guys carrying the company? And my thought on that was that a lot of these wrestlers that have carried the company in the past, I didn't see them really having it, but the machine was behind them. So how come the machine isn't behind our own people? Right. So my back to my question to you is that do you feel that the machine has completely given up on us, or do you feel as is that the stars that's out there just don't have what it takes to quote unquote carry the company? And this is your opinion.
Good question. Very good question. And I am so glad you guys asked good old JR that question, and that he gave that answer.
Yeah.
That's
oh yeah, we real. We
Yeah, that's all we did. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we ain't scared of nobody. Yeah,
right.
we gonna ask.
Yeah,
most
I saw the pictures on Facebook of you guys with JR.
Yeah, and he loves our show.
Right.
Yeah, he does.
You know, that was one of the things that I always talked about, particularly when I first started addressing this subject matter, that the stars, the athletes, they do what they do. Now, I think I'm going to augment my statement now to borrow the terminology that you use. The machine of the promotion has to be behind the athletes in order for there to be this quote-unquote carryover. I thought at the time when there were some complaints, there was some registering of issues with me having The Rock on the cover of a book called Black Stars, I think that was because the machine was behind Rocky to such a degree that he had crossed over in such a massive way that people just did not see. You know, sometimes they get to the point where they don't see our blackness, the whole crossover thing. You know, the blackness doesn't exist anymore now that you've, quote-unquote, crossed over. And that's based on the machine. I like that terminology, the machine being behind you and how they're pushing people down the fan, pushing certain athletes down the fans' throats. I think it works in some cases, and in some cases it comes off as manufactured, because I agree with you as well. I've seen some quote-unquote champions that I didn't think were worth a hill of beans.
Right.
I think they had a fan base, and I think their real fan base was behind the curtain in the office of the executives, which was where their real fan base was. But that's neither here nor there. Some of these black guys, just for whatever reason, didn't have the politics, and even today, still don't have the politics behind them to where the suits in the creative department, the ones making the decisions, are not willing to give these athletes a chance to, quote-unquote, carry the company. I still have so much reverence and respect for the great Ron Simmons, because he crossed that barrier, you know, and he was not truly given the same level of support, I didn't think, at the time, that certain champions had been given. But, you know, he crossed that threshold and he opened the door. He kicked open the door, and I have so much respect for Ron and what he did. But I just never thought at that time WCW really put the machine behind Ron the same way they had put the machine behind certain champions. I won't call any names, but they're champions that I never really thought that much of.
Yeah, I want to make a point real quick.
Sure.
I don't want to.
No,
I was watching a movie. I was watching a movie yesterday. I was sitting up. I was getting ready to go to an outing with Tech, and I was watching a movie. It's called Best of the Best. I grew up as a martial artist. At a young age.
Yeah.
And that came out in the late 80s, and I remember it.
I remember that.
And, as I'm watching it, of course, the coach on there is, not the coach, but the guy who runs the team is James Earl Jones' character. And as I was watching it, and I'm looking at how much input he really has given the team, I noticed that a lot of the movies back in them times, mostly like the 80s and early 90s, they always had a black character to inspire the other, it may be white character. You know, you had John Claude in Kickboxer. You had the little black guy who was making the bets and stuff and helping them. Then in Rocky, you had Apollo Creed, who was a rival who turned out to be a teacher, and then when he died, his teacher taught Rocky to continue on. And I noticed that in all these movies, they had kind of the same formula. They always had a black guy who kind of, you know, helped inspire the white guy. And, you know, I'm not trying to say in a racist term, but in the movies, it's kind of like, hey, you can do it.
Right.
Even the Karate Kid, you had an Asian guy who was inspiring a young teenager to believe in himself.
Yeah.
When he couldn't do it himself. So minorities are inspiring these guys to believe in themselves. So you can't say that the formula of a black man trying to inspire another black man or a black man inspiring himself is not there. It's relevant because most of these movies I've named, some of them are classic movies that stood the test of time.
Yeah.
And, especially Rocky and the Karate Kid, these both movies are in Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think of this formula and you apply it to sports entertainment, quote unquote, and you apply it to the fact that you can't get the machine behind them because you don't see them carrying the company, but you can spoon feed somebody that you feel as don't really have the what it takes, but the machine feels it, and we're going to make you believe it. Cough, Daniel Bryan. You know what I'm saying? I was at WrestleMania 30 last year in New Orleans. I saw the magic, and someone felt real stupid, because they didn't believe. So why can't we believe in our own people? And that's
great point.
That's the slap in the face that we have to endure each time we go and talk to these big companies. When I have fans come and ask us, when you going to interview The Rock? When you going to interview Stone Cold? When you going to interview Shawn Michaels?
The most requested person
I believe
that we get is when you going to get The Rock. Now, granted,
you going to get The Rock.
Real quick, shout out to our buddy Nick Mundy, who just got married, who known comedian, did a series with Chris Jericho, Nothing to Report on Comedy Central. The Rock just surprised him at his wedding. Good dude, good friend to Nick, loves the show. But like NSC Gameboy said, that is the most requested person. Is get The Rock. You gonna get The Rock? You gonna get The Rock? You gonna get The Rock? Before anybody else would get The Rock, I get The Rock. And then NSC Gameboy laughed, and everybody else laughed about it. And like that happens, it can, but so much more to it. But like you said, is granted, we know The Rock is a big blockbuster actor, and big ups to The Rock. But there's so many other great wrestlers that were black.
Yes.
That don't nobody. I can say personally, and I never said this on air. The whole show, we got to meet Ron Simmons. And did an interview with him, and afterwards, I got to talk to Ron Simmons personally, one-on-one for 20 minutes. He sat down and talked to me about some stuff. He even asked me for my phone number because of the show. Ron Simmons doesn't do that. And I learned a lot from Ron Simmons in those 20 minutes. And it's like if people knew how important he was to our culture and to our industry. And not only, and it happened here in Baltimore, down at the arena. And there's so many other people in our culture that was important. But nobody
Coco Beware.
Coco Beware. We had Coco Beware on our show.
Yeah, we had him on our show. And I don't want to cut off Tech, but
go ahead. You know,
just to add to his thought, we had Coco Beware on our show. And Coco Beware, we had a special interview, which you go all check out on the archives. And the most important thing that he said that I took away from that interview was the fact that he was the guy that was helped training Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And Brutus B.
And Brutus.
Yep.
I mean, he's the guy that was out there teaching them, how to work on their craft and be on the television. And that's why he was always around those guys back in the mid-'80s. And, we was always wondering, like, well, okay, and, he was there when Dwayne, before he was The Rock, when he almost gave up, and he was one of those black guys who inspired him to keep going. And look what happened. Now, I just gave you the illustrations on these movies that's happened, and here's a real-life illustration.
Right.
So, once again, how come that formula, the machine can't put that into our own people?
And you know what? They really can if they want to.
Exactly.
I always just flat out blame it on the promoters. Some promoters choose to promote athletes, and some just choose not to. And no disrespect to good old JR, But the question about who's capable, are any of these guys capable? They most certainly are if the machine is willing to decide that they're capable. Period. Let's take the same chance. Let's take the same chance on some of these guys that you take on took on John Cena. Let's take the same chance that you took on that you're taking on Seth Rollins. You know, I mean,
or Roman Reigns.
I mean,
what a push!
We already know why that happened. We already know.
Yeah.
We already know why he's getting the push.
Yeah.
So to be real, we already know why he's getting it. Not to say he don't deserve it.
But we know what the deal is.
Right.
I'm in South Carolina, and I'm in South Carolina, and one of the I'm in Columbia, South Carolina right now, which is about an hour and a half drive from Greenville, South Carolina. Now, there's a young man, Austin Watson. He was originally the Consequences Creed. Now he's what is Vince calling him now?
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods, yes. He's Xavier Woods. And Xavier Woods actually went to undergrad here in South Carolina, in Greenville, South Carolina, at Furman University. And like you said, he's completing his doctorate degree right now. But this guy, I saw him on a WWE documentary on, what was it, ESPN E60 about a month or so ago. And I was glad to see that they did feature a black guy on there. But like you said, so often when you see these athletes on the big shows, they're just mid-carders. They rarely get a chance to get above the mid-card. David Otunga had a law degree.
Where's he at?
You know, so I mean,
what happened?
You know, there's some interesting enough stories about these African Americans that can be sold to the general public that the public will buy if the machine will sell the story. But you know, it's right back to who the promoter is willing to put the machine behind. And some of our athletes, I guess, just don't have the political weight, don't have the connections, don't have the family connections or whatever.
As I was told by, I'm not going to mention his name, as I was told by a former WWE worker that's been on TV and on, and we all would know his name if I mention it, but I'm not going to say it, is the true match isn't in the ring, it's backstage.
Right.
And I thought about it, yeah, you are true. And I've heard this from multiple people, and on LC Game Boys, you had other people tell us, yeah, it's like Hogan said, wrestling is only maybe 10% of what you see wrestling in the ring is only 10%. There's a whole bunch of other things that goes with it. With that, WWE can make anybody any star.
They really can.
And they, the Daniel Bryans and even have Foley. A lot of people don't know Mick Foley. The WWE really didn't want to push him at first because he didn't have that air quote look. But they had no choice.
Right.
Because Foley may not look like $1 million, but he sold tickets and the fans was behind him.
And the fans were definitely behind him, yes.
Well, I want to ask you real quick. I know we're low on time, Doctor. You have a promotion. Suppose you have a promotion. Whatever you call it, Shabazz's World Federation, whatever you want to call it. You got all the political power like Vince and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have any black champion to run your company, to be the face of your company, past or present, who would you pick?
Whoa, past or present?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think we got him, NSC. I think we got Dr. Joe.
Oh, got him.
Wow.
Got him.
You know, I've never had that question. You know what? I'm going to have to ask you to give me some time to think about that one, past and present. But you know what? I will say, if I had that promotion right now, who would I put that title on right this minute? You mentioned him earlier, Ron Killings, R-Truth.
Yes.
I would put that on him in my current May the 26th, 2015. He would be my first champion. He's been around the business long enough. He can perform. He connects with the fans. He has the quote-unquote look. And he knows the business. He's been in the business long. He's a true professional.
And, right, the same thing is what happened to R-Truth.
Yeah.
He had the burlap sack and just disappeared. Definitely. I say that. With your book too, if you don't mind, we call it a plug party. Shin Blade came up with that name, NSC Game Boy did. Give us a chance, Doctor. Plug away. Let us know how to get a hold of you. I know you tend to disappear from the world, but when you decide to reemerge and rejuvenate back to the world, how do we get in contact with you? How can we purchase your book?
Right. The book is available on Amazon.com. I do have a website, JulianShabazz.com, and I'm on all social media. Let me not say all social media. I'm on several of the social media platforms. So I can be contacted. I just have a tendency to disappear at times. But the book is still, believe it or not, 16 years later. And we're on the second edition, and the third edition is going to be forthcoming. But it's still the only publication on the market to focus on African American professionals in the business of sports entertainment, professional wrestling. Still, after all these years, and the book comes from a sense of reverence and appreciation for these stars. So many white fans and fans of other ethnicities have bought the book because they find out that it's just appreciation. I'm not pushing a political agenda. I'm not paid by any specific promotion or promoters. I'm totally independent, a mark for the business, a fan, just a brother who loves the business and the athletes in it. So, yes, it can still be purchased at Amazon.com, my website, JulianShabazz.com, and I am available on social media. Facebook, Twitter, I don't really do Instagram, but, I'm available on some of those. Shucks, I probably still have a MySpace account. I'm a dinosaur, so.
What about Black Planet? You got one of those, too?
Not anymore, but I did have at one time. Yes. You're taking me back now. You're taking me back.
Yeah, for real.
I could even say, do you have a Earthscape account or AOL Online? Remember those discs back in the day?
Yes.
We stick with you, Doc.
I have you mentioned earlier the YouTube channel. So there are several things on YouTube, and we're still going to be continuing to update those things. And I still go out and give keynote speeches around the country. I'm still a motivational speaker as well as a person who trains and works in different things and just plugging information out there to the public. That's my main thing, just trying to uplift and inspire and appreciate our great African-American culture.
All right. We want to ask you if it's possible. We would love to get a copy of your book for the show of the second edition, whatever edition is available. Even if so, you can sign it for us, because that would be a great honor for us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely would.
Lastly, before you go, I just want to say that besides us doing the radio show and connecting with the fans, I've been going to wrestling school. Tech is in the process of going to wrestling school. I'm going to become a wrestling manager because I felt like in the business there's not too many black wrestling managers that's believable. Besides, you know, a lot of the guys from the 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you know, you got Slick, and you know, he was phone boy at his time, and you know, you go back even further, and you know, you got Teddy Long, and when Slick, as you come closer to the 90s and the 2K era, you know, the ones that come about, you kind of just slip off your tongue. And I'm not inspired to be a wrestler because that's just not in my heart. But I think that I can be a very formidable manager. And I'm already working with a guy who's in the Indies who's becoming a very big name, and a black guy who I feel he has a good talent, good eye, good respect, and who's really passionate and loves what he does and got a nice, decent fan base. Good. So it's given me a chance to give back to something that I love, along with Tech and myself. And, you know, hopefully I can have a chance to have one of the guys that I managed and I helped bring up to be in your publication down the road. Yeah. You know, I think it would be a great honor to see that, because a book is, those pages is timeless, you know. No matter what would happen, unless the book is destroyed and you know, the credits and stuff will still always be there. And, you know, you can always see it on TV, but to see it in a book, you know, for our people, we always say that's a big deal, because them boys don't read. So, and you know what I mean. So
yes.
That's the next plateau. But thank you, Dr. Shabazz, for everything. It's been an honor talking to you. Dr. D gave us some insight Saturday at ACW, local event. Got a chance to talk with him, take pictures with him and everything. Great guy, really great guy. And I'm just glad that we got a chance to reach somebody and have a chance to come on and have the fans get to know you and all the work that you've done for our people. So much more.
NSC Game Boy, my man Tech, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the compliments and the love you guys have shared with me. All you're doing now is inspiring me more. And I know you're going to be successful as a manager in the business. And one of your guys we're going to be writing about, I know it. In fact, I'm going to be mad at you if it's not within the next couple of years.
You got that.
There you go.
Sir.
You got that.
Sir.
And we definitely cannot wait for the third edition of your book to come out, as we will be looking forward to it. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as it is, as we're still waiting for. We always joke with the Dr. Dre new album, and as long as it took for Jurassic Park 4 and all them other movies to come out. So we're definitely looking forward to it. So thank you.
I got to pick up like the Fast and Furious franchise, you know?
Hey.
Yeah, you got to throw a black man in it to help boost it back up again.
Didn't I already have one? Do we count Tyrese and Ludacris?
No.
No, yeah.
No. They're singers and rappers.
Yeah.
You had to throw a larger-than-life guy, mostly a wrestler, with that type of charisma.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, Doctor, we thank you much, and we look forward. I'll be talking to you off air this week. Get the information so we can send it to, so I can give it to David.
Absolutely. Stay positive, David.
All right.
Yes.
Take care, Doctor.
All right,
okay,
brother,
gentlemen.
thank you
Have
much.
a great evening.
You
do the same.
Everybody, that was the man, Dr. Julian Shabazz. Once again, author of Black Stars of Professional Wrestling, Edition 1 and 2. Edition 3 will be coming out very soon. So, NSC Game Boy, your thoughts?
I just got a message from one of our fans. He's like, where's all the love? It seems like when I get into these political tyrants, you know, our fan base gets confused, whatever. You know, I'm speaking toward the fans from a voice that doesn't necessarily get heard a lot, and that's why it's so passionate when you hear it. because it's from all the time of not being heard and seen. So when we speak to you about these issues, we want you to understand as fans that, you know, we appreciate your support, we appreciate your love, but this is a show that's for both wrestlers, both in and out the ring, for the fans, the managers, you know, for the wives, the promoters, all around the board. You know what I mean? We're there for y'all. So it's not ganging up on anybody or whatever. It's just, we're just stating the facts. And in 2015, I think the facts need to change. So, great interview. I enjoyed it so much. I can't wait to actually have a chance to read the publication and to see the insights that he has to share. And hopefully, you know, down the road, maybe NFC Game Boy and Tech could be involved in one of those publications, man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, we definitely have to be a part of it. Not only me, you, the whole show as well. So we do thank everybody. Good guy, Dr. Julian. We had good talks off air. We definitely have, and very good brother. He's one of those people that do disappear off the face of the earth for a while. I'm glad to know how to get in touch with him. Definitely.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring in Shinblade. I have a couple announcements that I have to make about the show while we have time. Of course, Shinblade, you with us?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome back, brother.
Thank you.
Now, real quick, Shin, let everybody know how to follow you on Twitter. Tech messed it up a little bit earlier. So could you give them your Twitter handle?
Oh, no, that's okay. If they mess it up, you know, I get to curse you out next week.
Wow.
Curse who out?
Well, you for messing up the name.
That's not my responsibility. It's not my Twitter handle. It's yours.
Yeah, well,
that's good.
I give it every week to the point where I don't get new followers, at least fans of the show. So I just stopped giving it. But if you are listening and you want to, because I don't accept Facebook friend requests, follow me at Shensational1 on Twitter.
Sensational one. Okay. All right. Did I say that right, NSC?
What did you say?
Did I say that right, NSC?
Somewhat like that.
Yeah,
he
sensational
said,
one.
He said
that.
Yeah, I don't think he said the sensational part. Correct.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of stuttering, but
uh-huh.
he pretty much was on that level. But Shin, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. I just it's just been a long weekend after ACW. I just been going through a lot. One day is like here, there.
Yeah.
And I had some technical and home front difficulties, so I couldn't be on the show for a while. So, but other than that, it's hot. It's summer, so there's not much to complain. A lot of ladies running up and down. So you guys know about that.
Yeah, NSC. Yeah, there you go. It's the NSC life,
Yeah, up and down.
Real quick, breaking news. Did you know Toph is going to be coming in momentarily?
No LD
breaking
talk?
News. Say it again.
No LD talk like earlier?
Nah, none of that. Breaking news, I think we'll be happy with this, and Shin, this has a connection with big ups to you and you bringing Lucha Underground to Baltimore. Is Robert Rodriguez will be directing the live-action film based on the popular animated series Johnny Quest.
Really?
Yeah. So big up to
Okay.
Robert Rodriguez, who is connected to Lucha Underground, who we are connected with Lucha, and definitely we're big fans of Robert. So definitely can't wait to see that. Very interesting.
I think
seeing
you're saying that wrong.
What?
I think you messed that one up too. Robert Rodriguez is the guy behind El Rey Network, and he's an executive producer of Lucha Underground. He has a lot of hands in it. You see those cutscenes? That's all him.
Yeah, I believe I did say Robert Rodriguez is in connection with Leech Underground like we are. So it would be very, very interesting to see how Robert Rodriguez is going to use his great mind and his twist towards Johnny Quest. Because I don't really believe that live action movie is going to be traditional Johnny Quest form.
It's a bloody movie.
Say again?
Do you think he's going to stay with the traditional Johnny Quest, or do you think he's going to have his own spin?
I don't like Johnny Quest, so I really don't care which way he does it. I never was really a fan of the show.
Yeah,
I know they did the reboot back in the 90s. I like the theme song.
The theme song was good, yeah.
Yeah, the theme song was pretty cool.
That's the best part of the show.
Yeah, I never really was a fan of Johnny Quest, so I mean, shout out to them. I hope that maybe they can change my mind for fans like myself who's not really that connected to Johnny Quest. It just wasn't a cartoon that really, caught my.
Didn't make you feel good. Didn't make you feel tingly inside.
No, just didn't.
Yeah,
connect.
Wasn't there.
That's all.
Yeah,
the NSC Game Boy not a fan of Haji.
No, not at all. Not him or the dog or that guy that used to always say them all the time. I know the premise of the show.
Reese Canyon.
I guess that's his name. I'm not.
Yeah, Shin sounds like you're a fan of Johnny Quest.
Absolutely not. I watched it when Cartoon Network first started, and I believe with Robert Rodriguez, it's going to be a really, really bloody movie. If you ever seen
I may watch it then. Yeah.
If you ever seen Machete and the classic From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, Machete kills, and there's going to be a third Machete.
How do you make Johnny Quest? I mean, ain't Johnny Quest part of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons?
It
Yeah,
is, but the funny thing about Hanna-Barbera is that a lot of their stuff isn't original. Like the Flintstones is one of them. Neither is Sigmund and the Sea Monster, which was a hack show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you remember that, don't you?
Totally forgot about that.
That and who was the other one? Yogi Bear was an original. That was based off the friend from the Honeymooners. So none of that stuff was actually true form. I mean, I was a Jetsons fan, but that was it. That and who was it? Laugh Olympics. I wasn't a fan of Scooby Doo. I wasn't a fan of Scooby Doo back in the day either.
Nah.
Maybe Josie and the Pussycats. So and then the ill-fated.
So a lot of their characters was inspired by television shows and movies and stuff. Is that what you're saying?
It basically was. And also shout out to Southern Belle, who I talked to, I think last weekend before Memorial Day weekend. She told me also, and she showed me the trailer that they're making a Gem movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, y'all. Gem and
yes, I seen the trailer for it.
Shout out to Babe Mel. That's one of her favorite cartoons.
No sense.
That's another show I used to like the theme song too. I used to like the Gem theme song back in the 80s.
Oh, goodness.
It was catchy. I mean, I ain't watched the cartoon. I just like the theme song.
Okay, I guess
I like a lot of cartoon theme songs. I was kind of like into themes and stuff, jingles and things like that. It was very catchy. But that movie is god awful.
I guess it was me with Josie and the Pussycats. I didn't watch the movie though.
I didn't know they had a movie.
They didn't have.
Rosario Dawson, Tara Reid, and Rachel Lee Cook back in like 2000, 2001.
I didn't know that.
And I'm a big Rosario Dawson fan. I'm a big Rosario Dawson fan, so I think she's like one of the sexiest women on earth. Especially that movie Trance.
Before we continue about the random movies, wanted to say, of course, we have very important announcements. We are waiting for Toph to call in. We talked about the Elimination Chamber this Sunday, and then we'll talk about the memories, definitely, of the Elimination Chamber. We want to make a quick few announcements. First, this announcement is very important, as all of these will. Is Under the Mat Radio will be having our Indiegogo page. Indiegogo, I will spell it. INDIEGOGO. It's Indiegogo Under the Mat Radio. Yes. We'll be under web/video It will be under. I'm sorry. It will be under the web/video category. We're starting an Indiegogo page for Under the Mat Radio and Under the Mat Radio Communications LLC. Of course, we can raise money for the show, for our interviews, for better equipment, so we can, of course, show you more, upgrade everything for you, the great fans, so our show and our company can grow to where you'll be able to see us in the studio. You'll not only be able to hear our voices, but see us, see Tech, NSC Game Boy, see Shinblade, everyone else, as we can have not only great audio interviews, but actually have great video interviews where we can sit in the studio and interview the Julian Shabazz, the Jim Rosses. You'll be able to get in and be able to sit down and see us with these guys as well. Of course, this show is for you all. We've not been able to reach the success that we have, and, of course, even further success without the support, without all of the listens, the likes, the comments, emails, Facebook messages, texts, everything. So we all love you much, and that's definitely how it is. So please check it out. Saltine definitely has the link. He just sent it to us, so Shinblade and Toph will post it on our like page and on our group page. So any donation is greatly appreciated. Like you said, our show is at another level. Of course, with coming to another level, we all need better equipment, more space. And, of course, the bigger we get, the bigger you all get. And it's definitely for you all. So definitely want to say that. NSC Game Boy?
No, just listening to the announcements. Let everybody know, come support us. Give us a chance to really show you where the show can go. We've already gotten this far. We know that we're here because of y'all, and we dedicate each and every last one of these shows to the fans, so y'all can have a real platform to really address some of the concerns and inquiries that y'all have about, the business. And with other stars, we have athletes, we have actors and comedians, musicians and stuff, There are a lot of things that you might want to know, and, we're going to give them hard-hitting answers. So come support, whatever you can, $1, a quarter, $5, $10, $20, whatever. We definitely appreciate whichever you go into your pockets and give to us, because it takes a lot to do these shows, and we need your help. So
yeah, we do.
We really appreciate it.
Definitely do. Only thing I disagree with on NSC Game Boy is that please don't give us any quarters or nickels. No, nothing lower than $1, please.
Okay.
Don't want to have nothing.
Then you can send the quarters and nickels to personally NSC Game Boy. So
yeah, he's a professional gamer, so he can use all the change he can get going to the arcade.
Going to the
there
arcade.
are no arcades, gentlemen.
Yeah, it could be. We gotta raise that back. Anyways, just joking around. Like NSC Game Boy said, any donation is happy. If you have a quarter or a nickel or a dime, and any dollar bill or $2 bill, any denomination, definitely will be grateful. Even in those from Canada, we do know that pennies are bastardized and no longer in publication. So we don't have to worry about getting pennies from you all. We thank you much for your support as we have fans from Canada. Shout out to good old buddy Mac and others. Not sure if y'all knew that, but yeah, pennies are outlawed in Canada. They don't use pennies anymore. It's pretty much gone.
No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. Also, on good news, just got finished having negotiations and talking to representative of Global Force Wrestling, GFW, of course, Jeff Jarrett's new promotion, which will be aired soon, which actually I believe I already did air. Shinblade, what's the channel? Do you know?
I don't have cable.
That's right. One of our representatives will give us the channel. The channel escapes me, but Jeff Jarrett's new promotion, Global Force Wrestling, is currently on cable, selective cities. They're able to get the channel to watch it. Just talked to a representative today, and next week I can confirm that a representative of Global Force Wrestling will be joining Under the Mat Radio. I will not release who that person is just as yet. I will wait to get confirmation on the time tomorrow. So please be on the lookout tomorrow on the representative we will have for Global Force Wrestling coming to Under the Mat Radio, of course. All of us making history as usual. Also, upcoming this month, we will have the legendary man himself, legendary boxer, Hall of Famer, the Eastern Assassin, Mr. Larry Holmes, will be joining Under the Mat Radio. Will be a big milestone for our show. He will be the first ever boxing legend and boxer to join Under the Mat Radio. We've never had a boxer on that show before. Yes, that is something we cover, and none other. We can ask for a better guest. A legend, definitely, in his own right. He's been inducted to both Professional Boxing Hall of Fames, multiple-time world champion. He's went against, of course, the greatest Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, George Foreman, Mike Tyson. The list goes on and on. I spoke to him early today. He's very excited to be coming on to Under the Mat Radio, and it will be happening later this month. And, of course, the last announcement, Shane Blade, I'm going to have you take care of that, of announcing who we will have on our show on June the 9th.
Well, thank you. We will have ROH ROH commentator Steve Carino and also his son Kobe Carino on June 9th promoting the EWA event in Baltimore, Maryland on June 13th. I talked to him in Philadelphia. He just told me to contact him and also to contact his son because his son, I think, is with B.J. Whitmer in ROH.
Yes, B.J. Whitmer.
I just saw Global Wars last weekend, the first night.
How was it?
Well, ROH is very impressive, so I don't have to tell you. I mean, it's not WWE material where you just fall asleep and it's there. It's intense action. Our friend AJ Styles had a match, Bullet Club versus ROH All Stars. They never disappoint. So big ups to Ring of Honor Wrestling, and fingers crossed, as I said in the video, episode 20, that we get to work with them a whole lot soon. And I would say that's it. Thank you for everybody who watched the AJ Styles DLC content video, which we're just goofing around. So if you're one of those guys who wanted to hear about wrestling, then you're sadly disappointed because AJ Styles is more of a person than just wrestling. We talked about video games and 80s movies, so it was all fun. Especially NSC dumps with the failed half and half that they had at that Denny's.
Yes.
The boy wasn't pleased.
No,
yeah.
No, he was not.
I will also say coming up very soon, we will have Under the Mat Radio T-shirts will be available. We'll give you more details on that as we get them. So yes, Under the Mat apparel will be making its way to everyone very soon. Yes, everyone will have a shirt. Everyone has the catchphrase or saying. And gives everybody a chance to, their favorite Under the Mat Radio personality get to support us in a new way. The NFC Game Boy. He has his shirts, and I have mine. And shout out to friends and family and loved ones who has helped give us suggestions of shirts. So we will give you all details on that as of well. On a serious note, before we get to Elimination Chamber, I want to send out much love and support and prayers to our good old buddy Reggie Rivers, otherwise known as Prodigy. He's doing a lot better. He's recovering. He was in a bad motorcycle accident this past weekend for Bike Week, and I believe it's in North Carolina. I believe it is. He was in South Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina doing Bike Week. A good old buddy Reggie, otherwise known as Prodigy, got in a motorcycle accident, but he's doing a lot better. He will be home soon. Have been checking up with Jimmy Dream and Kendrick Kamari, we've been in business talks, of course, checking up on our brethren. So I want to give you a big shout out, bro. Hope you feel better, and we really can't wait to get you back in the ring.
All right.
And of course, we have to go over this Sunday. WWE is presenting another pay-per-view. Wait a minute. Didn't we just have a WWE pay-per-view?
Yes, we did.
Wasn't it just like last week?
Yep.
And now we have WWE, the return of the Elimination Chamber. And of course,
guess
we
what?
always. What's that?
If you're new to WWE Network, you get it for free.
You get it for free every month, don't you?
All the new subscribers.
Yes. Please note, you have to be a new subscriber. So that means if you were a subscriber and you stopped, if you didn't renew your subscription, they will not let you get it for free and try to come back. You have to be a brand new subscriber. Isn't it like every month this year it was like new subscribers coming for free? Is it just me or is that true?
It seemed that way. It seemed that way since WrestleMania. I mean, I agree with NXT Game Boy. We had a talk about a month or two ago, even though I differed at the time, that WWE Network is a great venture, but it's failing on a lot of parameters because they promised so much and it just lacked thereof. Like ever since the first day, like Canada was supposed to be a month after the U.S. Premiered there, and it never happened until like 9 months later or so. And you know, I will say this: it's a great venture, but it's just failing on a lot of parameters. I mean, if you want to catch old school wrestling like myself, then it's great. But if you're one of those now WWE fans, it's just not for you. And not to mention the tapes that they're trying to get now. Like, we still haven't seen the Puerto Rican tapes from Carlos Colon ever since he got inducted to the Hall of Fame. And they're working on Jerry Lawler's tapes, too.
Yeah. Yes, that is true. So that being said, guys, we're about to go over WWE's Elimination Chamber, the return of the Chamber, which WWE exited.
And, you know, people, I forget to say this, but people still complain about paying $10 a month to WWE Network when they watch the pay-per-views, and you pay $60 when you had cable. So what's up with that?
That is true. And yet, when you go to a bar or lounge to watch the pay-per-view, you're going to pay a lot more than the food and drink. So what's your point? You know, why are you complaining?
Yeah.
It's $10 a month. Right. WWE could rightfully charge a lot more than that, but $10 a month is a lot cheap, and don't see why it's a problem.
I think I have an answer to it. I think it's a psychological thing. It's the fact that when you see good quality entertainment, you actually want to reward it by giving more. And by the product being so lackluster, you know, it's like almost like a slap in the face. Like, you don't even deserve my $10. I should be watching this for free almost. Because I've seen indie promotions that had more flair than some of these WWE pay-per-views or special events or whatever the hell they call it nowadays. You know, I've seen other promotions, you know, just have more to offer the fans. And that's the key word, is the fans. You know, I hear John Cena comes out here and cut these promos talking about how, you know, this is the WWE and it's for the fans, but you do the same 4 or 5 moves, give or take 1 or 2 moves for WrestleMania, you know, week in and week out for little 9-year-old boys and girls. But the problem is that when they grow up, they like, okay, are you going to do something different? No, I'm going to stay the same. Are you kidding me? Like you're not a comic book, you know? I think sometimes the characters and stuff, they kind of get lost in who they are. And they think that the business is, I just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and y'all need to just accept it.
Well, so shout out to... go ahead.
So now we feel as, Why should we pay for garbage? Why should we pay for lackluster entertainment? You know, the WWE does not promise anything. You know, even the Big Four now is starting to become the Big Two. You know, Survivor Series is not that great. SummerSlam last year was pretty good, but, you know, that was only because of Brock Lesnar. The rest of the card was subpar. And WrestleMania is starting to be even more watered down. So eventually it comes a point to, what are you going to tell your shareholders in your boardroom when the numbers start declining even more? They're not buying all the shirts and stuff and the stars you're trying to make with the machine. It's just not working. They're going to have to add more money to a network that they already ain't that proud of anyway. So go ahead.
That is true. But I can also add is, my opinion is something we have to remember. If WWE consistently lets us know they are not wrestling, they are sports entertainment. So yes, we growing up with it being wrestling, we got to remember wrestling is in it, but it's more so entertainment. Going to indie shows or watching the Ring of Honors, the Luchas, TNA, and now you have Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore making a rise, Global Force. You know, they more so predicate on wrestling, even indie shows are wrestling. WWE focuses more on sports entertainment, and that's what their shareholders, they tend to like what they see. Even though WWE is losing money, at the end of the day, they're still making hell of a lot. They are a machine and an empire. No pun intended. They are a juggernaut. Sad thing with a machine is that you're going to see the repetition of the same stuff going on and on and on, because WWE currently doesn't have any competition at the moment. So it's a sad state in the business. Like you said, people don't mind paying $10 a month for something that was good TV. But like you said, a lot of the production as of late is lackluster. And rightfully it's because of they just get lazy. WWE was at its best when you had competition. You need competition in anything. So let's hope that the Global Forces and the House of Hardcores and the Luchas and you know, got to see the lowest prayer for TNA, something can happen. Ring of Honor could go up and challenge WWE something for them to kind of get off their, you know, to get off their butt and do something, you know, more entertaining.
You know who the day that you remind me of?
I have many points on this.
Well, let me say my point, and then Shane, you can take it on from there. You know what the day that he reminds me of? It reminds me of Nintendo back in the 80s.
Right.
Nintendo was the juggernaut, and it was unstoppable, and they made all these rules and regulations for all these companies. And next thing you know, they start putting out all this stuff. And as time went on, they start losing touch with the fan base because the fan base was changing. Sega came along, then Sony, PlayStation came along, and then, you know, Microsoft came along, and all these developers. And now, you know, Nintendo was pretty much begging to get a lot of this core fan base because they grew up and they went to better systems and better games. And I think that's what's happening with the WWE. It's gotten so much within itself, it's almost forgotten to really stay in touch with the times. And now it's just, you know, John Cena just yelled out last night, 10 years. 10 years and you still the same guy, doing the same moves, doing the same stuff? Are you serious? You know how long 10 years is? And, like, you're insulting yourself. You're insulting your character. It sounds redundant. It sounds stupid.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's time for a change. Let's not forget Hogan did the same crap for 13 years before he changed. But
that was back in the 80s, though.
84 to 94.
It was still, the WWE wasn't a juggernaut back then. The WWE was a powerful, WWF was a powerful entity, but it was still rivals back then. See, now they're a juggernaut like they are today. You shouldn't have to do the same stuff over and over again. It don't make no sense. You know what I mean? That's for a company that's trying to get on, not a company that's already established and globally, you know. But anyway, Shane had a point. Go ahead.
I have many of them, and number one, ROH is trying to be their own company, and WWE is so desperate that they're trying to scoop up people from ROH. I mean, months ago they tried to scoop Moose up, they tried to scoop Mandy Leon up, they tried to scoop the Briscoes up. They were successful. They were successful with Samoa Joe, but I'm just looking at his deal because I believe Samoa Joe is legit. But in a way, I believe his deal is going to just like be Rhino's, where he's just going to work with NXT talent until further notice. Because I see bookings in the future of Samoa Joe this summer working with Ring of Honor. Thanks to Saltine for posting that one of the shows that they're going to have in New York City. Also, with WWE, I think personally they should bring back the brand extension because that did so much for mid to lower card wrestlers that people don't finally recognize it. And I think after 2002, whenever Paul Heyman stopped writing for SmackDown, they just crapped all upon it. Like SmackDown was the bitch of the WWE because I remember in 2002 when Raw and SmackDown first split, SmackDown was the show to actually watch because Paul Heyman he had Brock Lesnar as his champion. But he had a beautiful cast of characters that had their own characteristics and made up a lot for the show. So if you didn't like Brock Lesnar, you could watch The Undertaker. If you didn't like The Undertaker, you watch Kurt Angle, Edge, Rey Mysterio, the Guerreros, all of them. So I think Vince needs to go back to that. It's very tiresome to see John Cena every week with the U.S. Open Challenge. And I wanted to ask you guys, and I know we're crapping on Elimination Chamber, I wanted to ask you guys this. A lot of people in the internet community, especially the whiners of the IWC, were complaining for 2 weeks straight about Kevin Owens, not him appearing on Raw. They wet their pants when he did. But when he put down John Cena and stepped on the U.S. title, people got so, what's the internet term, butthurt over it, that they were crying and saying Kevin Owens disrespecting America. And it was like, he's just saying that the title is not relevant compared to NXT title.
Can I ask you something, Shen?
Okay.
Did he offer an apology? Did he issue an apology that he did it?
I think he did old school heel heat. I don't think he did. I know in his heart he did.
Then he is a very, very smart man. Because if I was them, I would have stepped on it twice. And matter of fact, I probably have that in my entrance video of me stepping on it as I'm coming out. Because that's what he was supposed to do.
At the end of the day, let's be real. No one's cared about the United States title since WWE brought it. Really. No one. Say it again.
After a certain champion,
after the year of 2003, no one really cares about that belt. Really, who cares? MVP had almost a year reign.
I disagree.
He barely think about it. This is how you know. Back in the day, hold on. Back in the day, you ask somebody WWF, okay, who was the world champion? Hulk Hogan, Savage. Who's the Intercontinental Champion? You knew right off the bat. Mr. Perfect, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat. You knew off the head. Who was the tag champs? Demolition, Hart Foundation, the Rockers, and WCW. Who was the world champion? Oh, Sting, Rick Flair. Hold on. Sting, Ric Flair, Vader, what have you. Who was tag champions? Harlem Heat. Oh, it was Pretty Wonderful. Who was TV champion? Oh, it was Booker T. It was Regal. Who was U.S. champion? Oh, Harley Race was. Or it was Sting. Or it was Dusty Rhodes. It was Stunning Steve Austin. The ECW. Who was world champion? It was Taz or Shane Douglas or what have you. The ECW. Who was TV champion? Oh, it was RVD for over a year. Oh, it was Jerry Lynn. Who was tag champions, the Pitbulls, the Baldys. Point I'm making, back then, the 80s and 90s, early millennium, when you ask fans who's the champions of these promotions, you automatically sat and you off the top of your head who was the champions because the titles mattered. Now with WWE, you ask who's the tag champs. Oh wait, I forgot they had the belt. Who's the Divas champion? Oh, that's right. Who's the U.S. title? No one cares. That's why they put it on Cena. No one cares about the U.S. title. The last time the U.S. title, in my opinion, was relevant was when 9/11 happened, and it was all of the glory, and that's when they had, remember, Angle was U.S. champ, and he did the whole United States title run. After that, no one cared. The MVP was champ for over a year. No one cared. He barely defended it. He had the great Angle with Matt Hardy. He barely defended it. Miz was U.S. champ. No one cared. He barely defended it. Rusev was this U.S. champ. He's a Russian, but who cares? How much did he defend it? Barely. Now, Cena's U.S. champ.
Didn't Dean Ambrose have it one time?
Dean Ambrose had a U.S. title.
He barely defended it.
He didn't even show up. They just let you know they don't care about the belt. How are you a champion, and what other business are you a champion to have a trophy, and when you show up for a show, you don't even have the belt with you? Dean Ambrose was U.S. champ in 2 times on Raw. He didn't have the belt. No one cares about the U.S. title. Kevin Steen did what he was supposed to do. People cried when Shane Douglas cracked on the NWA title because Ric Flair was crying or what have you. He said, Shane Douglas, shut your mouth. Then Medusa threw the women's title in the trash can. People cried about that. When Hogan spray painted the WCW title with spray paint, people going to be crying in general.
People cried about that one?
Yeah,
Hogan
they did.
Spraying it?
Yeah, they did.
They
cried about that.
It was great, but the traditionalists, that belt was held by Nick Bobwinkle, and the tradition and history, and you spray paint a world title that I like. And it's a game where people went crazy when Hogan spray painted that title. It's a disrespect.
Wait a minute.
To the NWA legacy. Shut your mouth.
Okay, not to knock everything out. But NWO was a ragtag company on the rise like a cancer, so spraying the belt was a great thing that they did, so they can claim ownership to it.
Oh, it was. We're gonna bring in Toph now. It was a great point, but the traditionalists, the Ric Flairs, and I can't speak for Harley Race because I'm not sure his thoughts, but a lot of the old school people. Think about it. Nobody ever did anything to a world title belt like that. To spray paint it, that's like, in their mindset, that's like ghetto-fied, that's street, that's hood. You don't do that. So in their minds, the traditionalists, they didn't like that Hogan did it because it messed up the lineage.
What about John Cena making spinners out the world title and the U.S. title? Did people get cry over that?
Yeah, some people didn't like that either.
I didn't like it.
We're talking about the IWC. They're going to cry about everything. They cried that Owens wasn't in WWE. Now, Owens the Steen is in WWE. Now, Owens challenged Cena. Oh, we got Cena. First, people cried because, Cena don't put people over. Cena don't work with nobody new. Now, Cena's working with everybody new every week, and you're still crying about that. So, with IWC, they're just going to be crying and crying and crying. Now, when Owens faced Cena and that match ends in a DQ, because Owens isn't going to put Cena over, isn't going to pin him cleanly. They're going to make it a DQ or what have you. Or when Owens loses, because it's called a rub, folks. The term rub means that you put the guy over, but you don't let him win. That's all Cena does every week. He gives these young guys a rub. He gives Cena credit. He gives them a rub. He gives them exposure. Gives them really most of the match, and Cena wins. Still got over because you work with the top company.
Well, shout out to, since this is the final time last night, shout out to Zack Ryder, who came out and challenged Cena for the U.S. title in the final event in Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. I thought that was a great rub for him by WWE and by Cena. Like I said, he didn't win, but I thought it was great for him in his hometown.
It was a rub, because Zack Ryder is like Krillin. He's like Krillin in WWE.
I disagree.
Yeah, man, shout outs to Tyrone, man.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, real quick, NSC, what you going to say?
I disagree because, I know it's memorable because the stadium is turned down. But the only reason why they even done half that because they was in his hometown. And it's pretty much like they keep certain stars on the roster. So when they come to their hometown, they can put them out there so they can make it look politically correct and like, hey, we care. And then next week, you're not going to hear nothing from Zack Ryder.
He's
like months and months.
What are you guys even debating about? I'm confused.
He's WWE's Krillin. Oh, break your knees. We'll get to Elimination Chamber at some point. We were we were talking. We were gonna get to the Chamber. Then we started talking about how Shin mentioned how fans were getting butthurt because Kevin Owens and Kevin Steen disrespected the U.S. title and stepped on it, so people were crying and sniffing.
Oh, okay. Well, Kevin Owens. Well, Kevin Owens, he did what WWE's been doing for years. Just it was a visual image of it. So, you know, that's pretty much as simple as it gets.
And I made the comment, nobody's cared about the U.S. title in WWE since '03, and Shin disagreed. So that's how we started going on our little debate.
I won't go on a rant about it, but, you know, I can tell you some personal stories that WWE, they've actually bullied some fans for asking too many questions about the U.S. title. The way I look at it is a title is only as important as how it's treated at the biggest show of the year. And I feel like if you can't get a title defense at WrestleMania consistently, then that shows you where it is in the totem pole. And for so many years prior to WrestleMania 31, you had John Cena defend the U.S. belt against Big Show. That was at WrestleMania 20. And then every other U.S. title defense since then involved Chris Benoit, more particularly MVP against Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 23, which was a very good match. But unfortunately, because of the Benoit tragedy, we had to act like that didn't happen. So if you're one of those fans that ignores Benoit, then the last time the U.S. title was defended was at WrestleMania 20. At WrestleMania 29, Cesaro was U.S. champion, and he had a good run, but they didn't give him anything. They just didn't use him. They never used them, you know. And I'm a really big wrestling buff. I'm a big wrestling historian. I love discussing stuff like Triple Crown champions and Grand Slam champions. The biggest piece of evidence, and to this day, and this is where WWE will actually bully fans, is to this day, if you win a world championship, a tag team championship, and an IC championship, that qualifies you to be a Triple Crown champion. However, winning a U.S. title does not count. The Miz was only Triple Crown when he won the IC belt. JBL was only Triple Crown when he won the IC belt. John Cena, as many titles as he's won, he's not Triple Crown because he's got the U.S. belt. He has to win the IC belt.
Well, now as of recent years, I think like 2 or 3 years, they actually added the U.S. title, which to me, you have to redo everything if you're just going to add the U.S. title recently. So you have to reshuffle that list since 2003 on up. But I agree with Toph with that point. You know,
it's a useless title.
Cesaro is in recent years. Cesaro is going to be a Triple Crown champion once they give him the world title. But like Toph's point, he's never going to be one unless they get the Intercontinental title.
That's my thing right there. If you can't, it doesn't matter. See, the thing is, the Grand Slam title, here's an interesting factor. Despite the fact that Edge has won more world titles than Christian is actually a Grand Slam champion, and Edge is not. That's because what Christian lacks in world titles, he makes up for in third-tier titles, such as the European title, the lightweight title, the ECW title, the hardcore title, so on and so forth. So even though those titles are third-tier yeah, he was. Everybody had the hardcore title. Come on. But the main point I'm making is, even though those are third-tier titles, in the grand scheme, they still count to something. They gave Christian a Grand Slam accomplishment. The U.S. title doesn't even give you that. It doesn't give you a Triple Crown. It doesn't give you Grand Slam. It doesn't give you anything. I remember in WCW and NWA, whoever had the belt usually would get a title shot if they had it for at least 2 or 3 months. This belt doesn't even give you that. So what Tech said is pretty accurate. So they'll just give it to Cena.
Real quick,
we love Elimination Chamber, don't we?
Real quick, shout out to the Grand Slam breakfast from Denny's. Remember those commercials? Pretty good. All right, guys, let's go to Elimination Chamber. All right, Shane, go ahead and do your rundown of the matches.
We just crapped on the whole thing. Are we doing the event? I thought we were doing the Elimination Chamber recall of the match. I didn't think we were doing the event.
Yeah, we're gonna do an event real quick.
All right.
Most people forgot that it's this Sunday, and most people don't even know the matches. So we will go ahead and remind them.
Wasn't Elimination Chamber in February, or they call it some BS name for a pay-per-view.
No,
it was No Way Out. Then they changed it to Chamber.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's right. They changed. No, this year was Fastlane.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Moving on. Okay. All right. One of the matches, which I think is a sleeper, is Adrian Neville, which everybody says Neville, against Bo Dallas.
Neville,
as long as it gets time, it should be good.
I like Adrian Neville, so okay. All right. Next match is Triple Threat for the Divas Championship.
Wait, you can't be cutting off NXT Game Boy now.
Okay.
Yeah, Neville.
Okay. Nope. Nobody Bo leads.
No, not at all.
Bo Dallas with his dolphin teeth.
Yeah, he does with dolphin teeth.
Well, you see, everybody likes the other Rotunda brother. So let's move on from that.
Yeah, true.
Triple threat match for the Divas Championship: Nikki Bella versus Paige versus Naomi. All right, moving on.
Right, yeah.
Tove?
It doesn't matter. All these bitches are heels anyway.
All right. Hey, Tove, let me ask you this. What did you think about Naomi's Amazing song?
It's all well and good, but the problem is the character doesn't make her any different from Cameron, which just shows you how they view black women. But that's another rant for another day.
One has a weave and the other one has braids. Moving on.
Where's Cameron?
Next match.
I heard Babe Mel say girl bye more times than Cameron in the past 3 weeks.
Obviously, you don't watch The Real with Tamar. Moving on.
No, I don't watch trash TV. The world title match is Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, the Titty Master.
Oh, God. Well, real quick, it's sad to say, I know we went a long time, about 8 minutes. Dean Ambrose has been on a real losing streak as of late, and Ambrose has never been able to defeat Seth Rollins at all.
He beat him once.
Excuse me. So, you're right. He did defeat him once, but this is actually going to be at a pay-per-view, and Seth Rollins retain the title either cleanly or by J&J Security doing some kind of screw job.
Mario Security Guard?
Yeah, MD Night Security.
No, what's going to happen here is they're going to have some bullshit. Roman Reigns will come out, try to help Dean, and he'll inadvertently spear him, which will tease tension between those two, and Dean and Reigns can feud while Rollins just continues to bite time until Lesnar comes back and eats them, because that's what dinosaurs do to bitches.
Yeah. Also, shout out to
at least there won't be no exploding monitors.
Yeah. Exploding monitors. Hashtag. I forgot what that.
Hey, NXT Game Boy, the exploding monitor was better than exploding pyro with Cena and Rusev.
Touche.
Yeah, and also it was better than water bottles being used as foreign objects.
Oh, my God.
We'll leave that alone. Hey, moving.
All right. The Elimination Chamber for the vacant Intercontinental Championship, Sheamus versus Ryback versus R-Truth versus King Barrett versus Rusev versus Dolph Ziggler. Huh?
Yes, he is in it.
Wow.
Yeah,
when they make that,
I don't know how.
Just downloaded them?
No,
yeah.
just Ziggler was.
All I'll say about this match is there's not a single person in this match that you look at and you're like, wow, that guy could really use the title. You know what I mean? Like, you look at the roster and you see guys like Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, Neville, even guys like Big E or Kofi, whatever, even Xavier, you look at them and you're like, those guys could really benefit from a title. There's like no one in this match you look at that just screams, wow, the IC title will really help them. So, whatever.
I don't think anybody cares because...
Why is it that Adrian Neville and Bo Dallas looks like they have the same exact hair? It's like their head,
really?
You make a creative wrestler and you have like that little sprite of hair and like the creative head. Still, like if you create them on the game, they're the exact same size head, the exact same size hair. Let you know
really?
about it's true. Just like
right.
they'll be, they have a typecast. Everybody has to look the same. They have to talk the same, move the same.
Guys,
moving on.
Oh yeah.
All right. I don't think anybody cares except for the little small romantic triangle between Rusev, Lana, and Dolph Ziggler.
Which is proof they watch Lucha Underground because it's a rip-off of that.
Exactly. Yeah, it
is.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the person on Twitter who said that Rusev, Lana, and Dolph's relationship is like, and they had a picture of Zach, Kelly, and Slater from Saved by the Bell, like the second or third season. Thought that was hilarious.
I'll give it to Rusev, I guess.
Yeah,
I did too.
Rusev or maybe Barrett, I'll say.
Oh, God.
I'll say. Because, he has the whole king ring gimmick to put it over. I could be wrong. What about you, NFC Game Boy?
I don't know. I don't care.
One thing for sure, what be your truth? Got it.
Watch it be truth, just as a middle finger to everybody. That'd be a swerve. Nobody would see that coming.
I think that's when the whole world craps their pants if it happens. Like, just
matter of fact,
truth when the shareholders back out.
Matter of fact, if Truth wins, then he would just need to win the world title to be Triple Crown.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Well, that's gonna happen.
Like NXT Game Boy says, if Truth wins, then that's when the shareholders kill themselves. So
yeah, he have a better chance winning the actual Triple Crown with the horses.
Remember that time Truth was U.S. champ for like 2 weeks? Nah, I don't either.
Oh yeah,
2010.
Yeah.
All right, and Bret Hart gave it to him.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone.
Right.
Yeah, he that never happened.
Go ahead, moving on.
All right, the tag team elimination chamber match: the New Day versus Lucha Dragons versus the Masters of the Universe versus Primetime Players versus Ascension versus Los Matadors versus Does Anybody Care?
This will be interesting. This will be interesting.
Okay. There's two combinations of the New Day that's gonna be in it.
I think New Day is gonna retain it.
Yeah, New Day is gonna retain it. Yeah, but
it'll be shenanigans.
Yeah, I actually do like the fact that the tag team championship is getting some justice in this pay-per-view, and it's gonna be an actual chamber match. So,
I'll give WWE credit. Take these 6 teams, and you got Luke and Harper in the background. You got this whatever the hell Sandow and Curtis Axel are doing.
Never Power.
Yeah, and then combine that with the few tag teams you have in NXT. The tag teams are there. You may not like half of them, but WWE they are doing what they can for the tag team division.
But most importantly, you guys, there's 5 black men in one match in WWE. Normally, Ring of Honor do that. Ring of Honor supports by having more than black people in one match. And
I don't know, Tech, man. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to count Natalia. She's light skinned, dude.
Which means primetime players. Whenever black people in a match like this, it's always the black people that get eliminated first. L.I., Mark Henry, Survivor Series. So I think primetime players.
Dude, man, you've been looking at Natalia lately, and there's no way she's full Canadian. Come on now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she doesn't have a Canadian body.
Don't forget that MCW when it comes to black guys, though. But moving on.
Yeah, we don't speak of that.
Okay.
Real quick, we got about 2 minutes.
Okay, the last match is John Cena versus Kevin Owens. We already discussed this. Kevin Owens is going to go over with the rub, and John Cena is going to win. But I think it's a DQ.
Yeah,
I see DQ. And it's a
I got Owens just beating the shit out of Cena, and the ref is going to try to tell him to stop, and he's going to ignore the ref. And classic heel move, just keep beating him up.
Here's a quick wild card, guys, and this could happen. What if Samoa Joe decides to make a cameo and cost Owens the match?
Or Sami Zayn, or Hideo Itami, or Alex Riley, or Regal, or the whole roster, because Owens is feuding with everybody.
Yeah, or Corey Graves.
Zayn and Itami is out.
He can do like a via satellite thing. Remember that when they used to be popular?
Yeah.
Don't nobody do anything via satellite anymore. Oh, it's technology.
All right, so Elimination Chamber is the predictions are in the books and nobody cares except for the 4 kids, and we close it out with shout outs and everything and whatever is developing next week, Chat.
Yes, like I said, next week, don't forget Under the Mat Radio. We'll be here live, 7 to 9 p.m. We will have a representative, very known guy who's former WWE superstar as well as TNA superstar in RH. He will be joining us representing Global Force Wrestling. I'll give you those details on tomorrow. Real quick, random shout outs. Do we have any? Oh yeah, random shout outs, of course, to the high school here in Maryland that the students decided to pull a prank and release 72,000 ladybugs. So shout out to you, students deciding to use ladybugs as a prank. Yeah, that is true. Oh yeah, and
shout out to Tyrone. I don't have a wife though.
Yeah. All right.
He got a new video out too. I don't know if y'all seen part 2.
We'll be getting him on the show.
You do that. I won't be there when he comes.
NC Game Boy, shout out real quick.
Shout out to, of course, Dr. Shabazz for coming on. And y'all can meet us this Sunday at Loafers here on Baltimore National Pike, Route 40 here in Baltimore County for watching the Elimination Chamber with myself, Tech, and hopefully the sensational one. So.
Yes, and Shinblade close out for shout out.
Don't have any.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
What is Gotti?
Welvin the Great. Type in Gotti. Really is got him on YouTube.
That makes no sense.
You'll watch the video. You'll see it.
No, thank you. I'll stay elevated.
Yeah, we're off air, so can't nobody hear what we're saying, but yeah, look it up. G-O Got and then E-E-E-M-M.
This is another ghetto meme, isn't it?
Well, it's an internet sensation. They made it to a meme.
Oh, yeah.
Well, cool. Shout out to Johnny Depp, who could face 10 years in prison for taking dogs to Australia. What the hell?
Really?
Hey, well, at least we know the plot for the next Pirates movie.
Yeah, he illegally brought dogs to Australia, so you're going to face 10 years in jail. He's Johnny Depp. He's going to pay it off so he can shut up and he can continue to make movies.
He's too pretty to go to jail.
Yeah. All right, guys, good talk. Toph, if you want to give me a call in the feed, you can. All right, Shan, I'll talk to you in a bit.
Not a tender time.
Yeah, go on, take care of that.
No,
right.
I'm talking about Johnny Depp.
Is this the music from that Ali movie? It is,
yeah,
I remember.
That's all
right.
music.
Yeah, it is.
Don't forget, Toph, we have Larry Holmes coming to the show in June. I think June 16th, so I'm going to clarify the date with him.
All right, I'll check that out.
You got the man that killed Ali.
Yeah, Holmes beat the crap out of Ali. All right, guys, so if you got time to hit me up later. All right, Shannon, I'll hit you up on group chat.
All right.
Okay, all right, guys, great job. Bye.